Hello friends, my name is Victor and you are watching Club Plus YouTube channel. Here we are starting from today onwards our first one of class 6 history. So let's get started. Let's talk about the contents in this book. Basically, okay, we're starting this bilingual video. Okay, देखिए जो पहला चैप्टर है, so it's talk about what, where, how and when. The second chapter is called talk about on the trial of the earliest people. Okay, and the third chapter is from gathering to growing food. Okay, basically it's a new version of this book. So let's see in the first chapter. The first chapter is talk about what, where, how and when. So let's see. Basically this lecture is about summarized version of this chapter. Okay, so we're going to skip all this, so it doesn't need for us. And ये चाहिए so class 6 के student के लिए, but we are going to skip this. So here is it. What we can know about the past. So यहाँ पर बोल रहा है कि what we can know about the past. तो हमें past के बारे में क्या पता चलता है. So I'm so sorry guys, I am very poor at Hindi. Okay, थोड़ा बहुत तो गलतियाँ हो ही जाता है कि नहीं. So there are several things we can find out. What people ate, the kind of clothes they wore, the house in which they lived. So yeah, in this line they talk about what people eat in the past, and the kind of clothes they wore. तो पहले ज़माने में कौन से खाना खाता था, and कौन से clothes they wore, and the houses in which they lived. Okay, we can find out about the lives of hunters, herders, farmers, rulers, and merchants, priests. We know about priests, craftspersons, artisans, musicians, scientists. We can also find out about the games children played, the stories they heard, the plays they saw, and the song they sung. Okay, basically here is talking about we can know what we can know from the past. We can know from the past is what people eat at the time, and what kind of clothes they wore, and the house which they lived. So here's a question guys, here's a question for us. How can we know from the past? How can we know? Basically let's see, we're going to find out the question answer in this chapter later on. Okay, so here the question is how. Okay, how can we know about the past? Okay, and the second para is talk about where people lived. So find out the river Narmada on map 1. Okay, let's find the river Narmada on map 1. So where is it? Okay, I'm going to zoom this. Let's see, where is river Narmada? You can easily visible in here. River Narmada is the middle of the Indian map, and it's basically lies on the okay, here's another map I'm going to show you. Okay, in the middle, and is basically lied on Madhya Pradesh. Okay, let's see what's they talking about the river Narmada. Okay, find out the river Narmada on map 1. People have lived along the banks of the rivers for several hundred and thousand years. Okay, some of the earliest people who lived in were skill gatherers. Okay, skill gatherers in the banks of the river Narmada. Who lived there? Skill gatherers lived there. Okay, so river Narmada के पारों में सो तो स्किल की तरफ रहते थे to the northwest. Okay, northwest. Let's find. I'm going to zoom again this map. Suleiman and Qatar Hills. Here is it. It's talking about northeast, northwest. Okay. Okay. Here's another question. How can we know about the any? How can we know this direction is the northwest? Okay. I'm going to find this. So basically, history is about, and history is derived, and history is linked between. What can we? What you can say? History is linked with geography, economy, polity. Okay, so let's find northwest. How can you know this direction is northwest? So here's a arrow of north. Is it visible? Okay, I'm going to zoom this again. Okay, here's the direction, and it was the upright portion. So it's pointing out that this side is north, and obviously the opposite side was south, and this side is east, and this side is west. So here's the comes. This side is northwest. Obviously this side is Andaman Nicobar, and this side is okay southeast. Sorry, southeast. The Andaman, this side is known as southeast, and this side is southwest. It is simple, and obviously the northeast, the Assam and Arunachal, this area is called northeast. So here's northeast, northwest, south, ईस्ट. ये सिंपल है, आप लोगों को जो मेथड पता चल जाएगा ना, तो देखिए. Let's see. Let's talk about Suleiman and Qatar Hills. Now find the Suleiman and Qatar Hills to the northwest. Some of the areas where women and men first began to grow crops. So यहाँ पर खेती बाड़ी शुरू हो गया था. And what they grew, the wheat and barley, about 8,000 years ago. Okay, 8,000 years ago. आप लोगों को पता है कि in this side, at the ancient time, here's a very fortified civilization. Okay, which is known as the Indus Valley civilization or Sindhu Ghati Sabhyata. Okay, 8,000 years ago located here. People also began rearing animals like sheep, goat, cattle, and lived in villages. देखिए, so सिंधु घाटी सभ्यता के previous years थे. जो सिंधु घाटी सभ्यता कौन से सालों में ग्रू हुआ था, जो we can know from the past is they grew about 4,000 years ago. And here's the third paragraph. Let's locate the Garo Hills to the northeast and the Vindhyas in the central India. Okay, let's find Garo Hills northeast. Okay, आप लोगों को पता ही है अभी northeast and the Vindhyas in the central. So Vindhyas in the central. So what is in there? There were some of the other areas where agriculture developed. देखिए, जो रिवर साइड होगा वही तो फोर्टिफाइड होगा ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा. सो एग्रीकल्चर डेवलप वही होगा. एंड द प्लेसेस वेयर राइस वाज फर्स्ट ग्रोन आर टू द नॉर्थ एंड द विंडर्स, नॉर्थ टू द विंडर्स. ओके, सो विंडर्स एंड नॉर्थ ईस्ट. सो राइस ग्रो हुआ था फर्स्टली. सो आप लोग बोल सकते हैं अभी जो पता ही होगा, जो मध्य प्रदेश का जो राइस ग्रो करता है अभी, जो बासमती ग्रो करता है मध्य प्रदेश में अभी. एंड जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट में जो राइस का कल्चर है वो बेसिकली चाइना से आया था वो. ठीक है, Okay, there's the river Indus and its tributaries. Okay, tributaries are the smaller rivers that flow into larger rivers. अच्छा, tributaries किसको बोलता है? जो smaller rivers जो flow into larger rivers. About 4,700 years ago, some of the earliest cities flourished in the banks of these rivers. Later, about 2,500 years ago, cities developed on the banks of the Ganga and its tributaries and along with the sea coast. तो देखिए सिंधु घाटी सभ्यता बोल 4,000 years ago जो tributaries. Okay, let's zoom. What are the tributaries of Indus? Let's see. There are 6 tributaries of Indus. Okay, here's it: Jhelum, Chenab, Byas, Ravi, Satluj. कितना हो गया? 1 2 3 4 5 and this one also. So Indus main, there are 5 tributaries. Okay, so this was the Indus main and the tributaries Jhelum, Chenab, Byas, Ravi, Satluj. Okay, large river, main river, basically वही large river Indus, and there 4,700 years ago some of the early cities flourished on the banks of the rivers. जो cities develop हो गया था rivers Indus के बगल में, and later about 2,500 years ago cities developed in the banks of the Ganga. So हम लोगों को पता ही है, and यहाँ पे जो था जो पाटलिपुत्र था हम लोगों का वो पता ही है. सो सिटीज डेवलप हो गया था फर्स्टली गंगा के ट्रिब्यूटरी में. ओके, लोकेट द गंगा एंड ट्रिब्यूटरीज कॉल्ड सोन. इट्स सिंपल. हियर इज द गंगा एंड इट्स ट्रिब्यूटरी. हियर इज द गंगा एंड इट्स ट्रिब्यूटरी. लेट्स सी. In ancient time, the area along the rivers to the south of the Ganga was known as Magad. Magad. पता है आप लोगों को मगध जो चंद्रगुप्ता जो धनानंदा डायनेस्टी था. Okay, now lying in the Bihar, the rulers were very powerful and set up large kingdoms set up in the parts of the countries. Kingdoms were set up in the other parts of the countries as well. Okay, throughout the people travel from one part of the subcontinent to another. The hills and high mountains, including the Himalayas, desert, rivers, and seas, made journeys dangerous at times, but never impossible. So men and women moved in सर्च फॉर लाइवलीहुड. सो लाइवलीहुड के लिए वो ट्रेवल करते थे पहले ज़माने में. एज ऑल्सो एस्केप फ्रॉम नेचुरल डिजास्टर. नेचुरल डिजास्टर के लिए भी ट्रेवल करते थे, लाइक फ्लड्स, ड्रॉट्स. sometimes men march in armies conquering other lands. Beside merchants travel with caravans or ships. तो और किस किस के लिए ट्रेवल करता था जो हम लोग को पता चल गया था. सो वो नेचुरल डिजास्टर के लिए भी ट्रेवल करता था. एंड समटाइम्स मैन मार्च इन आर्मीज जो मार्च करते थे, कॉन्कर अदर लैंड्स जो कॉन्कर करते थे उसके लिए भी ट्रेवल करता था. एंड द मर्चेंट्स ट्रेवल करता था जो caravans एंड शिप्स. सो वो पानी के जरिए व नदी समंदर के जरिए ट्रेवल करता था. कैरिंग वेल्यूएबल गुड्स फ्रॉम प्लेस टू प्लेस. सो वो लोग कैरिंग क्या करते थे, जो वेल्यूएबल गुड्स थे वो प्लेस टू प्लेस मूव आउट करता था और बेचने के लिए. जो एंड रिलीजियस टीचर वर्क फ्रॉम द विलेज टू विलेज, टाउन टू टाउन, stopping to offer instruction and advice on the way. Finally, some people perhaps travel ड्राइवन बाय ए स्पिरिट ऑफ एडवेंचर, एडवेंचर के स्पिरिट जो था, सो हम लोगों को पता ही है, जो कई लोगों को जो ट्रेवलिंग का शौक रहता है वो इस तरह adventure wanted to discover new and exciting places. All this lead to the sharing ideas between people. So पहले ज़माने जो लोग थे वो किस लिए ट्रेवल करते थे? नेचुरल डिजास्टर and religious teachers, armies, and we talk about the Martians travel करते थे, and जो people perhaps travel driven by spirit of adventure. So adventure के लिए भी travel करते थे.